I am 43 and have 3 kids with my husband of 15 years. Long story short, when I was 16, I had a brief romance with a guy who then skipped town. Shortly afterwards, I found out I was pregnant. I wanted to keep the child, but my parents convinced me to give him up for adoption. My mom had a friend whose daughter couldn't have kids of her own. I agreed to let her adopt my baby, as it meant he would be close by and I could still see him grow up. I would see him every now and then, and he seemed to have a happy childhood. After a few years, he moved away with his mom and dad, and I saw him less. I came to terms with my decision, and I was able to move on with my life. I never told my husband about this. I guess partly because I had agreed to never say anything to anyone, but partly because I felt shame for having given my kid away. A few years ago, I started to see a shrink, because I was feeling anxious and depressed. After many sessions of not getting anywhere, I brought up my first son. I cried a lot, and it became clear that this was an unresolved issue from my past. During the pandemic, my sessions with the psychologist moved online. One of those meetings, I guess my husband overheard me talking about it. He was quiet and brooding for some days, and I asked him what was wrong. He told me he knew about me having had a kid, and he couldn't believe I'd kept it from him. He also said some hurtful things about how I had abandoned my baby. I think, or at least I hope, that he only said that out of anger. I offered him to join in some of my shrink sessions to help us get past this. But he says he can't trust me anymore, and he needs to think. Now I am worried he might ask for a divorce. AITA for not telling my husband about my son? Hit the subscribe button now for more AITA dilemmas.